One thing for me, I hope you're ashamed of yourself. You should be. It's 70 degrees out. You have bunny boots on.
Hey everyone. So, I keep getting asked quite a bit to respond to a specific statement or clip within someone else's live stream that is no longer publicly available from what I can see. But nonetheless, I did get my hands on an archive version of it, and we're going to go ahead and listen to that, and I'll go ahead and give my response. Here is that specific clip real fast.
Hey Felipe, this is Corey from News Now Northwest. How you doing?
Very good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Super.
Just had a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. I guess first of all, one of the things you've been bringing up a lot is talking about, I guess, what your plan is when you go into this. And, some of this idea, I guess, with Freeman today, not, I guess, going silent. I guess, in my opinion, that's probably why he got arrested. I guess you probably would agree. But I guess when you go into these audits, my thing is I always, you touched on earlier, is I always have a plan, like, what do I want the outcome to be? So, and, everybody always says to people, oh, you're going to get an education today. And if we're trying to educate people, is being silent or, I guess just when you're interacting, I guess I would say to other auditors, just think about that.
Well, you have to, if it's not necessarily hypocrisy. What it is not saying what you're doing. If you're not being confrontational, then why is there a confrontation? If you're trying to educate, where's the exchange of information? Are we doing it? Are we doing
exactly?
Who learned the lesson today? I would say Mr. Freeman Springer learned his lesson today. Is if a law enforcement officer believes that he has reasonable articulate suspicion that you've committed a crime and he's demanding your ID, it's probably a good idea to do, especially in the state of Arizona, to which failure to produce ID, according to the current case Elijah Westbrook, silent citizen, is currently facing under similar circumstances. That's much like when going into Springfield, Oregon, and going near a school nearby after an incident and not expecting them to act oddly. This is human behavior. These are human beings on the other end of this. If we're truly trying to educate them, we can't educate them with a sledgehammer. It doesn't work. And if you're expecting people to change their behavior, you're not going to do it that way. You're not going to develop.
Exactly.
You're not going to do it by developing some animosity towards you. I mean, I have audio that I actually have video that I.
Now, here's the thing. The silent treatment is not it's not an education thing. It's a testing kind of thing. There's a reason why I refer to myself, and I've been pushing it more lately, as a First Amendment tester versus the term auditor. I do things differently. I don't go there with the goals of educating. I go there to test to see if they even understand the concept of civil rights and the laws that are around it for the most part. I may throw out some educational material here and there. That's just to see if they'll actually back off, but that's if I'm in the mood to do that. Or maybe I'm trying to build a case. That's what the silent treatment's there for. It is a very unique tool. It's a very special tool. It's just like when you work in a mechanic shop and you have that little pokey thing that you clip onto something and you tap it on stuff and you see a light come on. It's a very specialized tool. Very limited use. It doesn't have much use besides testing for electricity. Is there a current here? Yes? No? Okay. Silent treatment's not a big, huge, use for everything kind of tool. It is just a special tool in the toolbox of tools that you build and develop when you go out there and do this First Amendment and cop watching kind of stuff. With the requirement to ID, there's different laws at play on that issue. Nonetheless, so the bounds of Brown v. Texas still apply, along with Terry v. Ohio, to a greater extent. And that's what we're looking at with that. I mean, as is, Silent Citizen case is not even done yet. It's still ongoing. It's been over a year for that. And when it comes to with James Freeman, his case, it's going to be a long battle, that is for sure. But it's going to be a very interesting battle. because the charges that they came out with are quite bad and don't even really apply to the situation in the first place. If you actually go back and listen to the strategic noncompliance live stream that I did covering that issue and the 3 charges. Now, as for the comment about there's another person on the other side, I know that. But I can do how I choose to do my stuff, just like as many others. There's other people there that I don't agree with. They're free to criticize what I do. I'm free to criticize what they do. But I'm also free to retort and make comments back in that direction. And as is, my comment back is, I know there's another person. This is just another replay of the Ichabod Orange morning kumite bout between me and him when we were going about it in a circle. As is, I have a right to do what I want to do. So do you, Felipe. So does everybody else. I may disagree with what you do, and I may criticize you for what you do. But here's the thing. I'm not going to go and try to censor other people about it either. And lastly, about the school comment. Guess what? Quite a few locations where people go out and film are by schools. At least within like a mile for some locations. As is, it just so happens, Springfield is very centrally located. It is built in the old fashioned way of everybody needs to walk everywhere kind of thing. And so guess what? Naturally, a lot of the buildings that are involved with the main infrastructure are built in a central location and have a decent, easy access to walk to. That is a nice thing within that town. I have to give them kudos for a good town design, at least for that general area. But as is, people have a legal right to film outside a school, in the public area, whether they're filming the school or not, or whether they're filming something else. It's not illegal. And as is for my arrest, that was sure as hell illegal. Because guess what? I was exercising my constitutional rights in a public space. Out in public. And people can do that too. When you have people that go and protest outside schools, or do their preaching outside schools, and they don't break the other issues of disturbing the school operations, maybe standing there and holding a sign or whatever, that's completely legal. And it is illegal to arrest someone who's exercising their First Amendment right, freedom of speech or freedom of filming or documenting in those locations, on a public sidewalk, outside of school, is completely legit. It's been upheld many times. And frankly, it amazes me that all of a sudden that this is being thrown back, at least in sort of my direction there with that one comment. As is, the silent treatment is a unique and special tool that only applies to certain situations. And, oh, that reminds me, off of a certain censored episode, there was this statement.
You know, and here's that thing here with Philip. Here he is, you know, there's all of this crybaby shit about people's last names being shown. Philip Turner used to do the silent treatment. Philip Turner invented the silent treatment. Philip Turner used to go to jail just because he wouldn't fucking ID. You didn't invent this, asshole. And so, and if you're going to interact with the government, back to interacting with government.
Well, here's the one thing. You are very wrong about that, Felipe. The first silent treatment video, First Amendment test that I did was Goose Creek Correctional Facility. That spring breakup time frame there. Months before the Potosi actually did it. And as is, no one has really been able to prove that they've done it before that specific month right there. That, to my knowledge. So, I did the First Amendment silent treatment test. / audit, or whatever you want to call them. But I refer to them as tests, what I do. By several months. And yeah, the biggest silent treatment video that I did that didn't really blow up, it was in September of that same year. And the thing is, I've been working myself up, prepping myself up to do a silent treatment. To do minimal speak. It was my first major objective when I got involved in this. So, in the way, I went in that direction. And I'm just pioneer off of Kenny Suter, who does, I don't answer questions. I wanted to take it a step further. And say, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to give you answers. Because guess what? There are people out there that are mute. They don't have the ability to properly communicate. What about those people? Yeah. And if they're a deaf person and can only communicate through sign language, boy, we've already seen instances with deaf people getting hurt because they're trying to communicate, but they can't because their hands have been bound up in handcuffs or something like that. Yeah. And lastly, that asshole comment. Now, I don't know if that was directed at me, or was that directed at someone in Mike Bluehair's chat, which actually didn't get turned off, and is hidden from view because I turned off the chats within the embed there. Nonetheless, when it comes down to that, I will let that one stand for itself. I don't need to retort to that. But maybe you should sit back and think. Maybe you might be speaking too much, because as is, you having a lot of open mouth insert foot moments and actions. You might need to do some self-reflecting when it comes to that issue.